You're listening to RDDC, the Real Double Dose Channel.
Where real voices speak, real stories matter. And authority isn't just a word, it's a way of life.
God-centered, purpose-driven.
Built for hearts and minds that are ready to rise.
RDDC Broadcast Media Network. Welcome home.
Okay, so I'm back. And I know y'all been waiting on this part. I left you right there. His hands around my throat. The ceiling above me. That water stain in the corner I always meant to paint over. And that one thought burning through everything else like a coal. Not today. Not after everything I already survived. You don't get to be the end of my story. I want to tell you what happened in the 23 minutes after that. Because that's the part nobody talks about. The aftermath. What your body does. What your mind does. What you gotta decide real fast when the smoke clears and you're still breathing, and the person who just tried to take that from you is standing somewhere in the same apartment. He let go. I don't know exactly why. Maybe something in him registered what he was doing. Maybe he got scared. Maybe God just said no. But he let go. And I slid down against that wall, and I sat on that kitchen floor, and I did not make a single sound. Not because I was being strong. Because I was calculating. That's what survival does to you after long enough. It turns fear into math real fast. I was thinking, where is my phone? Where are my keys? What is between me and that front door? How long would it take me to get there? He was across the room, sitting on the couch with his head in his hands, like he was the one having a hard night. And something about that image, him sitting there, looking broken about what he just did to me, that snapped something into focus real clear. I was not going to sit on this floor waiting for him to decide what kind of person he was going to be next. I already knew what kind of person he was. He just showed me. I got up slow. Not fast enough to startle him. Just slow and deliberate, like I was moving normal. I said, I need some water. Real calm, like nothing happened. And I walked to the kitchen, and I got my phone off the counter, and I put it in my hoodie pocket, and I filled a glass with water, and I drank some of it, and I set it down. And then I walked to the front door, and I opened it, and I walked out. Just like that. No bag, no shoes, just socks again. I don't know if he even realized I was gone for a few minutes. I didn't wait around to find out. I hit those stairs, and I didn't stop until I was outside and the night air hit my face, and I just stood there on that sidewalk, shaking so hard I could hear my own teeth. And I called Maya. Of course I called Maya. It was 2 a.m. She picked up on the first ring. I said her name, and that was it. Just her name. And she said, I'm coming. Where are you? She didn't even ask what happened. Just, where are you? That woman, I swear. I sat on the curb outside my building for 40 minutes waiting for her. And I want to tell you what you think about when you're sitting on a curb at 2 a.m. in your socks after something like that. Because I think people assume it's fear, or rage, or sadness. What I felt was clarity. Like everything got real quiet and real simple all at once. I thought about that room on the 4th floor when I was 17. The blinking sign, red and yellow. The promise I made to myself to stay alive. And I thought, you kept that promise. Every single day in that life, and every single day after it, you kept that promise. And some man who does not understand what you are made of just tried to collect on it. And he failed. And you're sitting on this curb in your socks, and your throat hurts, and you got nowhere to go tonight, but you are still here. You are still here. And that means something. I didn't know exactly what yet, but I knew it meant something. Maya pulled up, and she took one look at me, and she got out of the car before she even turned the engine off. She walked up, and she looked at my neck, and her face did this thing where it went very still. The kind of still that means someone is holding something back so they can be what you need right now instead of what they feel. She said, "We're going to the hospital." I said, "I don't want to go to the hospital." She said, "Serena, we are going to the hospital." And something about the way she said my name like that, not angry, not scared, just decided, made me just nod and get in the car. They documented everything that night. The bruising, the swelling, all of it. And I want to say something about that process because it matters. It was hard. Sitting under those lights, letting strangers look at your neck and write things down and ask you questions in that careful, clinical voice they use when they're trying not to make you feel worse, but somehow it makes you feel more exposed anyway. It was hard, but I did it, and Maya sat right there the whole time. Right there. What happened after that night took about 2 years to fully process, and I'm going to be real with you, it was not a straight line. People see somebody come out the other side of something like that, and they want to know, what did you do? How did you heal? Give me the steps. There ain't steps. There's just days. Some days you're good and you can breathe and you feel like yourself. And some days, something as small as a hand that moves too fast in your peripheral sends your whole nervous system into a different zip code. I went to therapy. Real talk. I went through 3 therapists before I found one that fit. First one was too clinical. Second one cried more than I did, which was not helpful. Third one, Miss Denise. She had this little office with plants everywhere, and she didn't flinch at a single thing I told her. She just sat there and took it all in, and then asked the one question I was not expecting. She said, "Serena, who were you before any of this happened? Not who did it make you, who were you before?" And I sat in that chair for a full minute, just crying, because nobody had ever asked me that. In all the years of surviving and escaping and rebuilding, nobody had ever gone back that far with me. Miss Denise is the one who told me about trauma and identity, about how when something takes you young enough, you spend so long trying to get past it that you never actually go back and find out who you were before it got to you. And we did that work. Slow. Over about 18 months. Going back and finding Serena at 9 years old, watching her daddy thin out like a radio signal. Serena at 15, believing that finally being chosen was the same thing as finally being loved. Finding all those versions of me and sitting with them and telling them what they needed to hear that nobody said at the time. You were enough. You were always enough. What happened to you was not about your worth. It was about someone else's sickness. That work right there is what everything else got built on. I started working with an organization that does outreach, women and girls in trafficking situations. And I'm going to tell you something about that work that people don't expect me to say. It's not always hopeful in the moment. You sit across from somebody who is where I was at 17, and sometimes they look right through you. Sometimes they don't believe you. Sometimes they go right back to the thing you're trying to help them leave, and you gotta wake up the next day and not let that break you. But then there's a day when one of them looks at you different. When something you said lands somewhere real. When you see the exact moment a light goes on behind somebody's eyes, and you know that the thing that happened to you just became the thing that saved somebody else. I live for that moment. That is the whole reason I'm still here. Not just alive. Here. Doing this. Speaking. That moment right there. I found RDDC not long after I started that work. I was at Maya's one night. It was late. She had something playing on her phone in the kitchen, and I heard a voice that stopped me mid-step. Not what she was saying at first, just the way she was saying it. Like someone who had been through something real, talking to someone else who had been through something real, and neither of them was pretending otherwise. I walked to the kitchen doorway and said, "What is that?" Maya said, "That's the real Double Dose channel. Lexus T built it. I've been listening for a couple years." I sat at that wobbly kitchen table, and I didn't move for 2.5 hours. And something in me that had been locked up tight just opened. Now, I want to tell you something before I close this out, and I need you to really hear it. Not just process it, hear it. If you are in something right now that has got its hands around your throat, literally or otherwise, I need you to know something about survival. It don't always look like the movies. Sometimes it looks like sitting on a kitchen floor doing math in your head. Sometimes it looks like walking out a front door in your socks at 2 a.m. Sometimes it looks like calling somebody's name into a phone and trusting that they're gonna come. Survival is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's just the next decision, just the next breath, just choosing yourself one more time, even when every part of you is exhausted from choosing. You are worth choosing every single time. RDDC is here. Story 2 Blessings is here. And if this story reached somebody today, send it before you do anything else. You know who needs it. And if you got a story sitting in you that you've been too scared or too tired or too ashamed to tell, bring it here. All of it. Even the parts that still hurt to say out loud. Especially those parts. The world was formed by a word, and yours is one somebody out there is waiting on. Every step forward. Thank you. and blessings to you all, Real Double Dose channel. I hope to share more with you all soon, and also hear you. Love ya.